Grab your bags of popcorn. It's time to tune in with BATJAC J.W. and Movie Time. As promised, we're talking about a James Caan movie, and by the time you already know, we're talking about Thief, 1981, directed by the great Michael Mann. I really like Michael Mann's films because they're really close to pretty realistic and not like just ridiculously over the top, where you know it's just total gun crazy nutbag stuff where it's just out of control. Those are fun too, but time and place. I have to be in a mood for those kind of movies, but this is the kind of movie that I really like. This stems to kind of movies like Taxi Driver and whatnot. But you got a lot of good actors in this one. You got the actress Tuesday Weld. She's in it. I love her in Cincinnati Kid. Robert Prosky, Willie Nelson is in. Robert Prosky is. It's interesting because I remember back in, it was like a home safety or safety video or something that he did. Robert Prosky is just interesting, and he's done a lot of interesting movies. As a lot of you may have seen Mrs. Doubtfire, where he's in that. So he's a really interesting guy, and the funny thing is he doesn't seem to have changed. But anyhow, James Caan in this one, and it has been no secret that James Caan, Michael Mann's films, as he sends his actors to do a lot of training and getting things correct. When you're watching Thief, there is scenes in it where he is, breaking into safes and whatnot. There's a sense of realism, a sense of just, I don't know, it really sets that panic in. Wow, he's drilling into that safe, and it is just, it really keeps you on the edge. It's a really neat movie. I like how they did that. And also, I guess at the time he wouldn't have been as well known, but James Belushi is in it. Everybody ought to know who that is, right? All right. Not John Belushi from Saturday Night Live, but James Belushi. His brother is in it, and really good part that he's got in it. So also, by the way, guys, if you have not seen the movie, you might want to stop and go watch it, because we're going to be covering, there's going to be definitely spoiler alert in this. So also, if you're a 1911 fan, this is certainly the movie you want to check out. It has got some awesome 1911 action in it. James Caan carries a custom by, I'm probably going to pronounce this guy's name wrong, but Jim Hogue, a gunsmith out of California. This is back in, now, mind you, 1981. This is the cool thing about the movie. Everything that you see in it, a lot of the stuff is really state-of-the-art stuff for back then. Really high-end stuff. And it's really neat to see him with that long slide, custom, 1911. You got the squared out trigger guard, and really, I think the slide is like a 6-inch slide or something like that, or I forget what it is, what they classify it. But it's a long slide 1911, super cool stuff. You'll also notice that if you watch it, James Caan actually has a proper grip on that thing, not the usual typical improper grip you would see in a lot of these other films. But no, he's got the proper grip. Everything in it, just the way he clears the house, the way he runs through everything, really top notch there. So he's got that really cool 1911. In the end, he does a nice he tops off that magazine with a fresh one, even though he's probably got only 1 or 2 rounds left, but he tops it off just to go back into the fray. So really cool. But yeah, he's a thief. He's a really good one, and then he winds up working for Robert Prosky, and he doesn't really want to do it, but then he kind of does it, and everything seems to be going really well. He's taken over big scores. You get payouts good, living high life. Everything is going great, and then things start to go bad. And meanwhile, you got his buddy, which is played by Willie Nelson, is in prison, and he's probably not going to make it, and that's on his burden. And he says, "What do you want? What do you want And Willie Nelson tells him, "I want get me out of here, man." So he with that in mind, he's working on all this stuff, and so it's a really neat movie. And it starts to things start to come apart, and you really you get a really good first taste on what kind of a guy you got here, where James Caan goes into the office to go and get his money, because the guy that was supposed to be having everything got pushed out of a building and he got killed. So there he is talking to the guy, and things get really bad there, and so he just whips out that nice 1911 there, and he says, "I'm the last guy you want to mess with," and he clears the place out of there. And I love the terminology in the movie and stuff, calling people goofs and stuff. I think he says, "Hey, you goof, look at the floor," something like that. So really neat. I like that. This kind of. And then, the dirty cops, they pinch him and they take him in a broom and they beat him up a little bit, and they do the classic number on him, with the phone book and whatnot. And the guy says, "Hey, man, you're pretty good, stand-up guy. You can take a trimming." Just really neat stuff like that. I don't know. It's a good film altogether, just rolling in. So, like I said, things go south with his connection with Robert there. And so when things go really bad, now also he's a car salesman. I know we're getting right into the action before we get into a little bit of background on him. So he's a car salesman. That's just his front. And, he really is going after Tuesday Weld. He probably should. But, he really wants to, he wants to go after, and he kind of just pulls that classic, just kind of grabs her, and he's like, "Hey, this is what it is. This is who I am, and let's get to the big romance." It's almost like Michael Mann took his own scene, I think, in Public Enemies with Johnny Depp, where he tells Billy, he says, "Hey, I like good food, fast cars, fancy dining, and just like, hey, my father beat me up, and here I am," kind of a thing. So he kind of almost took the same line from there, the same kind of approach to it. So James Caan definitely does it better, I think. But he's sitting there. She finally, she finally falls for him, and that, like I said, everything is going good, but when things go south with old Robert there, that's when you come to the scene where I think is just crazy. You have James Belushi does the most, like, he gets shot and he's zip tied. He's got his hands zip tied, and he takes this fall that I'm like, wow, that was crazy. Like, that's a heck of a stunt to do, because he hits the ground while zip tied. And of course, moving on to the ending of this movie. Crazy ending. Lot of action, a lot of shooting. You got, again, you see, really high end kind of guns going out there, and of course, one of my favorites. You got Robert draws out, or I guess his name's Leo in the movie. He draws out a Smith & Wesson Model 19 4-inch barrel and tries to do away with old James Caan there, but James Caan nails him pretty good with his .45 and sends him down. You see a Model 19 snubby in it, really cool. A lot of again, really cool stuff you get to see there. And there's this weird shotgun. There's this strange shotgun that this guy has in the end. He's like it's like weird. He's kind of like this like classic bad guy with the black trench coat or something like that. But he's got this strange shotgun. Never seen anything like that before. And it's like I almost want to say it's like a bullpup shotgun or something, but definitely really futuristic looking, especially for that time. I'd much rather think I'd stick with the Ithaca 37, the old classic. But you see that, and you see him waste him really good, and then do a quick change on his magazine, which is pretty neat. You see a lot of other cool guns in it. I think John Belushi, or James Belushi, I keep wanting to call him John Belushi. I think John Belushi has a, I want to say, is it him or it might be one of the bad guys, has a M1 carbine, which is really neat. And then, oh no, yeah, that's right. So James Belushi has the H&K 91. That's really neat to see that in the movie, because thinking, you know, that's pretty crazy. So, but again, I've always liked Michael Mann's films because he takes that time to like do it right and send these guys and train them. You know, these you know, actors and stuff like that. He really takes the time. A really good example of that is Heat. Heat has really good scenes and just really authentic. In fact, I know that was actually reviewed by Larry Vickers, and he even said, yeah, that was a pretty darn good, you know, layout there they did. So, you know, and of course, you know, he's done other movies like Collateral with Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise. So, but yeah, Thief is definitely, you know, it's one of the ones that I've really enjoyed. I remember, so back when I first saw it, my father and I, we were in Blockbuster, and we were searching around for movies to rent, and I remember him like, and this is like classic of my dad. He'd go, "Oh, Thief, that's a great one." He's like, "We gotta get this. Yeah, we gotta rent this. This is a good one." I'm like, "Oh, okay." You know, I'm thinking, "Oh, he's excited about it. Must be really darn good." So, you know, I remember, and the videotape cover, it was awesome because, and hopefully I got that for the cover of this. If you look at the videotape cover of that, just really classic. And I remember I had the VHS copy of it. And let me see here. I'm looking it up. I want to look up and see if I remember the cover of it. See, they don't. They're not showing the one that I had. Again, I might be just. Let me just type in that right there. Let's see, scrolling through. See, the cover that I had was, and if I ever saw this again, like maybe in like a thrift store or something like that, I probably would buy it. Oh, here's a picture of it. So yeah, it was a light blue back, and it had that foil type cover on the top. Like the top was, you know, got that foil cover. And I'm gonna put this. Yeah, now that I found the picture of it, I'm gonna put that in the video, the audio here. So you can see it. In that front, you just see that really cool picture of him with those awesome welding glasses or something like that on him, because that's how he winds up breaking into one of the final safes in the end, was that stick, and I think they cut the end off of it and they blast it through. Really neat. So, but there it is. You get to see that cover. That's really cool. Now, I bought it, of course, as times change, and, you know, the old videotapes got pretty much knocked out of the park and no longer existing. It got put on DVD and Blu-ray and whatnot. And I remember I had it on DVD. I did buy it on DVD, but one of the ones that I picked up recently within a year or so was the Criterion edition. Now, Criterion, their editions are really good. If you really like the movie, if it's something you really like, check out the Criterion editions on that. You're gonna pay a little more for them, especially if you go to places like Barnes and Noble or something. They're definitely going to be on the high expensive numbers there. You're talking $40 a pop. But sometimes they run sales like this. Every time they run a sale, I go and raid their Criterion stuff and see what they got, because when they're half off, it's definitely not too bad. Of course, Amazon also, they're pretty decently priced there. But I bought it on the Criterion edition, Thief. You know, just couldn't turn it down. Really good transfer of the film. For me, coming from VHS days, you really get to see what it really looked like, or what it, you know, could have. It was like watching a brand new movie, because VHS, obviously, you know, it was grainy, but sometimes that added to the cool factor of it. But it's got a lot of interviews and audio commentary and stuff like that in it. But really cool edition. I wish it would have included the that's the one thing I wish they would include the old artwork, but I guess it is what it is. The artwork on it is basically just him standing there in the street. But no, great movie. One of my, again, like I said, one of my top James Caan films, other than Rollerball. But there you have it. I don't want to spoil too much of it, but it really is a good movie. I liked it. Of course, by today's standards, some people that are snobs to the older movies back when they made actually decent movies, it may be too slow and not enough, bang bang action for people. But to me, I love these old films. This is the only kind of films that, to me, have any kind of merit these days. A lot of stuff now is just, I feel like they're just spectacle. Some of them pretty good. Like I said, Heat is good. I mean, that's, to me, that's kind of a more modern film. Collateral, all those, again, like mentioned by Michael Mann. But there's some new movies. I'm not knocking them all. No Country for Old Men is really good. I like that one. But a lot of my collection of movies does date back, and that is because also that's what I grew up watching with my father, was just watching all these old stuff. So anyhow, thanks for tuning in, and that is a little chat on Thief, James Caan, 1981.